Hey y'all, Kitch here. I'm the one that does the drag race artwork on Werk Zine. The only one. A lot of times people ask me if I run a sweatshop or that I have other people helping me, and the truth is no. I just really like to draw, and I try to draw as fast and concise as possible. So today, let's talk about Crystal Methyd. She was definitely one that I did not think I was going to like at the beginning. She was a wallflower. Her devil look was great, but it really wasn't until the kitty litter challenge when she knocked the vase off the table that I really started to be like, okay, this is somebody that I'm going to root for. And if you follow me on Instagram or Twitter at this point now, you will know that I am Team Gigi. I have been for a long, long time. But at this point, it really doesn't matter to me who wins. The top three is absolutely amazing, and I think that Jackie should have been in the top four, but I get it, whatever. So this drawing is not like one of my normal drawings. Like, I usually try to get the likenesses super, super close, but with this, there's not really any kind of underlying makeup or anything that I can kind of rely on. Like when I draw Trixie, I have a very specific way to draw Trixie because you can recognize Trixie's makeup anywhere. But with this one, you're really looking at the color face paint and the clothing, and it's really not about what they're wearing. I mean, sorry, it is about what they're wearing, but it's not about how they look. It's really just conveying Crystal Methyd. And something that I've noticed, and you can even look at the picture I used as reference, Crystal is so wide-legged. It's a very masculine take on femininity. Like, she looks like Marlene Dietrich or somebody that is a lesbian, somebody that's very, very butch, and I love that. I love that it's a different take on being feminine. Like, you don't have to be this beautiful, beautiful, fishy girl, which we know Crystal can paint if you've looked at any of her older makeup styles. So here I'm in Procreate, and that's what I usually do all my work in because it's so easy to make changes. I try to keep my line art super, super fresh, so I may do a base sketch, but it's super simple. It's no line work. It's just like the bare minimum that I can get away with. Here, I'm just kind of fleshing out the wrinkles, and honestly, nobody knows how to draw wrinkles, and I find that drawings with more wrinkles are easier to do the drawings with less because when you have less information to work with. And when it becomes more wrinkles, it becomes more about the patterns. So honestly, wrinkles, nobody really knows, but I drew them anyway. In Procreate, I try to break things down into as many layers as possible because I want to work with more data than less. Like, we'll find out later, like, I work on layers because I want the ability to change things. And something that I do constantly is draw different layers or under mask or whatever it takes to accomplish the final goal. Because if you draw something and you decide you don't like it, you always have that original drawing back up. And you'll see when I draw the feet in a little while, I'll do that exact thing. Here, I'm so old school. Like, before it became like a big deal to like lasso tool or select around your line art so that you could just fill in the paint, we used to literally, everybody I knew drew this way where you just like take your brush and you'd paint, and it takes forever in comparison to just taking a lasso tool and whipping it. But it's something that I find myself like when I'm just kind of an autopilot and I'm working, that's what I do. And it's a horrible habit and you shouldn't do it. And I always catch myself and fix it. But, you know, we all have weaknesses. We all have flaws. Again, I'm just trying to figure out something that looks good. And it's more just like a flow of lines necessarily than an actual like realistic real world wrinkle. And something that I've really noticed in my last drawings is like the floor space. And I kind of want there to be a flat floor. Even though I never draw floors in my drawings, I try to make them as realistically cartoonish as possible, if that makes any sense. Like, I don't want you to be able to go like, oh, he doesn't know what he's doing. He's relying on a cartoon stylish whatever. That's never what I want to convey. Like, I went to art school, I learned anatomy and stuff. Do I use it? Yeah, sometimes. But for me, it's more fun to draw kind of my intention of how the queens look. And that goes along with everything, you know, from the way that I draw faces and the way that I draw hands and the way that I draw feet. Like, I know how to actually do it. I did take figure drawing classes, but I choose to completely ignore it besides my means. And it's just one of those things like, learn the rules so you can break the rules, right? It's not about just like trying to draw like Steven Universe, because those people went to school. Like those people learned how to do those things. But somebody pointed out today on Instagram that 5 out of my 9 season 12 drawings were Crystal, and I'm not mad about it. But, you know, whatever. So here, what I'm doing is I couldn't figure out the feet, and I never want to do something perfectly mirrored. So I may mirror something, and then I'll kind of work it out into basic shapes, and I'll start to turn it. And so here, I'm going like back and forth with the opacity, trying to figure out what the old foot versus the new foot looks like. And I settled on this. Like, basically all I did was I broke down that shoe into 2 boxes, or 3 if you count the heel, and I just basically shifted those boxes along the horizon so that it worked. And you can see like the foot looks like the other foot, and I didn't have to think a lot about perspective and things like that. I just knew like these boxes, how they shift, will make a logical foot. So rendering textures. Let's talk about textures. Textures really don't matter, and that's the big secret. Like artists want you to think that they know how to draw everything from like glass to mirror substances to velvet. Really, it's honestly like looking at your references and figuring out how to break it down. And velvet is always so easy. Velvet is a base color, a highlight color, and a slightly darker shadow color, and that's it. And so it's so easy. Like I look at this drawing of, or this photo of Crystal from my drawing, and I look at it and I'm like, okay, huge chunks of highlights, and that's it. And then I go back and I kind of figure out what the shadow color should look like, and I start a little dark and I bring the opacity back until I find something I like. But yeah, it doesn't really matter really how you render things. It's really just knowing what your reference is doing and trying to break that reference down into as few colors as possible. It's the same way I do skin. Like I just figure out a base color and do a highlight and a shadow, and I just blend from there. It's the same as cell shading. Like basically you cell shade and then you just kind of smooth out the edges. For me, it's a very rough pastel brush, but for other people, it may be a soft brush. And so here's another instance of me talking about like I don't like to destruct my layers. So instead of drawing on the line art layer with these necklaces, I just literally put a white layer on top so it kind of blends out everything to an even tone. I draw on top of a new layer, and then I just leave the white layer and I color everything. So it's simple, and I do that so many times. Like if I can't figure out a face or the foot or whatever it is, I just draw on top of a new layer until I get it right. And hands, I'm awful at hands, but I continually draw hands over and over until I get them right. I'm just adding in a few more details to kind of finish it off, and I've noticed that recently my drawing used to have no backgrounds, and I've decided that I wanted to give them props and stories now, because the more you can add to a drawing to make it original instead of just drawing from your reference makes things special, right? Like it's about adding your voice. So it may be like the Daphne drawing of Scooby-Doo and the Crystal and the monster costume. Like I saw different artists take on those two, whether they were combining them or making a story out of them. It's really just about giving your perspective to art, because people love these drag artists, but they follow the drag artist. What is setting you apart as an artist to make people want to follow you? And for me, it's like these little vignettes, like the simplest way to convey what a queen is trying to tell them, like to support like the ideas that I had when I thought about queens. And you know, that's basically it. I guess I'll leave this by saying good luck to the 3 queens that are left. I could care less who wins, and I'm super excited because they're so great. If you want to follow me elsewhere, I am on Instagram and Twitter as Werk Zine, and I am also on Patreon as Werk Zine. So come support me for as low as $1 a month. You can get backgrounds and exclusive videos. I'm going to constantly be updating and posting things there, and it's kind of the quickest way to get information because I don't like to post about myself on Instagram and Twitter. So if you want to come learn about my process and what I'm doing, like check me out there. It's a great... Sorry, I have the window open, so sorry about that music in the background, but it's a great way to support me and just keep up with what's going on. Thank you so much for joining me, y'all, and I really appreciate it, and hopefully I'll see you later with another video if you want to check me out. If not, I left my handle, so follow me everywhere, and thank you so much. Love you guys. Bye.